inflammation.
Feel better?
Yes, but I still don't want it.
Yeah, but
No, I know.
you got it, and like I told her, it's how do you approach it now? One foot in front of the next, right?
Yep.
All right, so we've got a busy morning. It's not something you want to do, but it's something we kind of got to do. It's a weird spot for me, and that's why I want to kind of like share it and talk about it. Obviously, I'm going to share everything. We're going to share everything else that goes along with it, but it's just a weird spot for me because, as some of y'all know, we lost Tracy's brother almost 2 years ago, coming up on New Year's. And it was tough. It was very tough. Got a call in the middle of the night that he wasn't breathing, ran down there. And until you've actually done CPR on somebody, it's kind of hard to, I don't know, until you're actually in that moment. We all think like we're prepared and stuff and we could make things happen. But you felt so helpless, right? And that was the only thing going through my mind, was to keep going, doing what we could until we could hand off, to the EMTs or whoever showed up. And it seemed like eternity. I felt so helpless. And now looking back, knowing that really there was nothing we could have done, it was too late. It's still the fact that we kept going, and that didn't matter to us in the back of our mind, because you have a loved one that you're trying to save and help, right? None of that matters. So after that, I deal with stuff pretty good. But I had a few nightmares, and it was this recurring nightmare where Babs had fallen and she hit her head really good, and blood had come out, and there was nothing I could do to save her. There's nothing I could do. And it all, like, you know how like a dream or a nightmare goes, and there's just so many weird things going on, but at the end of it, I couldn't save her. And this has happened, I've had that same dream like 2 or 3 times. And it really, I don't know, it bugs me because I think about it a lot. So now fast forward to here, where we're at, where we're going to go today and kind of tell you this story of what's going on. It's doing whatever we can to prevent things from going where they could, right? I mean, it is beyond tough to lose a family member, but I cannot comprehend what it would be like to lose Babs. I just don't know. And just that one moment kind of put it into perspective of how I really need to be treating her, loving her, respecting her, like just being the man that's there for her, being a loving husband, leading the household. It just, I don't know if all that put it into focus more, or it was kind of a group of things that did it, but it had an effect either way. So here we are. We're almost 20 years into our marriage where, I said I do, and for better or for worse. So here we are, and I'm going to do whatever I can do on my end to support her and get her through this next part. Because though it's not as serious as another thing that's happened in our lives, which we need to go back and talk about, but we'll talk about that when we're ready to. We need to take whatever steps we can so it doesn't get to that point. So we're going to make a quick trip up to UT, and then we'll kind of fill things in after that, I guess. All right.
You do have a positive result in the BRCA2 gene, that same mutation we've seen in your family. What we also have as an option, not mandatory, but as an option, is surgery to remove breast tissue before cancer ever happens. And that reduces your risk of breast cancer by over 90%. It's below the average risk of breast cancer at that point. So it's a very personal decision, obviously, and I have people feel all sorts of ways about it. A lot of women I talk to are like, hey, I just want to do my imaging, and if something pops up, we'll deal with it then. Other women are like, I'm facing 30, 40 years of every 6 months having to go in for imaging, and that's a lot. I get nervous each time, and it's really hard, and I'd rather just reduce my risk and not have to think about this. And so that's why a lot of people do choose surgery. It sounds to me like you've thought about surgery quite a bit. Is that fair? Is that something you're thinking about, or where are you?
Well, I think you said there's a 60% chance she could develop it, right?
In her lifetime.
With having that variant. And then the surgery can give you a 90% chance of never getting it, right?
It reduces that risk by over 90%.
Handful of appointments, doctor's appointments,
Lots of them.
MRIs, anesthesiologist appointments, consultations, all
Pre-op
sorts of things,
appointments.
pre-ops, and surgery tomorrow.
That I do.
So what do you haven't done?
Tomorrow I will be having a double mastectomy. It is all preventative care.
Why do you sound like you're gonna cry now? Because it's a big deal, huh? It's a tough decision, right? And I've kind of left it up to you. Your body, your choice, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I can have my say in it as a husband and stuff, but ultimately it comes down to you. And I think you're making the right decision.
Yes.
From my perspective.
It will all be good.
So, carrying the, what's it called, the BRCA2 gene?
BRCA2 gene.
So, her sister had breast cancer. What was it, stage 2?
It was
Stage 1?
Not, I think anywhere from stage 1 to stage 2. Not 100% sure. Don't remember. But when they found out she had cancer, they did the genetic testing to see what type of cancer it was, and she carries the BRCA2, the BRCA gene 2, so it's genetic. So mom got tested, dad got tested, and I did.
And it came from dad.
Dad.
Right.
Which probably came from grandpa.
And grandpa had cancer.
He had prostate cancer.
Okay. So this is, like you said, a preventative thing that you're going to do. Because if you don't do it, there's a 60% chance you can get it?
Yes.
So there's a 60% chance that somewhere now in your lifespan, you could get breast cancer.
Yes.
But by taking this preventative measure,
It reduces
there's a
it.
90% chance you will not get it now, right?
Yes.
So I mean, I don't think that's very hard for someone to like look at those two numbers and kind of make a decision based off of that. again, though, it's, you know, it's your body, your choice, and it's not an easy, like, undertaking to do, you know? Those are like your things. Like,
I will still have those things.
You'll get them back. But,
I'll get them back after
but,
tomorrow.
you know, it's just definitely
but it will be
a process.
A long road to recovery.
So you're going to have the double mastectomy tomorrow.
It'll be 6 months of recovery.
They put spacers, they're called?
They're doing spacers. You have options of doing them different ways depending on your doctor and what you guys decide to do. You can do spacers or you can just put straight implants in.
So you could have the surgery and then put implants in the same day and then you walk out with a
Then you
blue
walk
job.
out.
Okay. So you're going spacers, and basically these things are empty bags, implant bags basically.
And they fill them up with air each week.
And when do you go back? After 2 weeks or so?
I will go back and, well, I'll go back in a week, but I'll go back and I'll see the cancer doctor. And then they will take the drains out, because you'll come home with drains in to drain excess blood, because you can't, they don't want to build up of blood and to cause a blood clot.
Infection, yeah.
So I'll go back in a week to see the cancer doctor. They will take out the drains if everything is properly doing what it's supposed to. Then I'll go back in 2 weeks and see the Reconstruction doctor, and he will fill them up each week.
Which I cannot speak enough about UT Medical and this entire like crew and process and department. And a little bit of like a connection to the Reconstruction doctor, Dr. Boukovalas. He is a fantastic man. And he has just been so over the top the entire way, holding her hand the whole way, answering every question, taking... I mean, we were there for over an hour.
Over an hour.
And he just wants to make sure she feels comfortable with everything, right?
He'll give you plenty of information for you to go home and decide what route is the best route for Reconstruction. You will also meet with the cancer doctor that will give you your options of what to do if you want to do preventative surgery. And you have 3 different options, obviously, of things you can do.
Which are?
You can do the double mastectomy. You can save your nipples. I know that sounds weird. You can not save your nipples depending on the cases. And then you can just go completely flat where they just take everything up and they close it off and you have no boobs left at all.
So there's lots of layers to it and decisions that have to be made. And I mean, just from like the nipple thing is just the craziest conversation, just because I never knew like how much blood flow there was and that they can die and why you would save it versus not save it. And you could tattoo them and the tattoos look
phenomenal. Yes, you can.
Better than real, I think. Like, they look like ideal. Like, it's crazy.
In my case, we cannot save the nipples only because I've already had implants. And with that being said, there won't be enough blood flow going through them to even save them.
So they die off, basically.
They would die off. So we opted not to save them because there's no point at that point. And I didn't want to go back in and have to have surgery all over again to fix something that could have been prevented beforehand. After talking to all the doctors and everyone giving me their opinion on what they think is the best case.
And then there's coming back to the implant thing, and it's above muscle, below muscle. It's, you know, how much skin is there. You take away the muscle, so the skin could be too thin, and you have to inject fat. You have to... there are so many layers to this.
The process for reconstruction is... It doesn't happen overnight. It's a 6 months process to go from start to finish.
So with the spacer route you're going, let's go back to that. After 2 weeks, they'll start filling it up. They put
after surgery, depending on your skin, they will fill them up appropriately so your skin is not too tight.
So basically each
So
time you
your
go back,
skin can heal.
your boobs grow a little bit.
Yes, and they'll fill them up each week with 100 cc's. I'll probably go back 5 times to get them to 500 cc's.
And that's because you'd have no muscle there.
You'll have no muscle, you'll have no fat, no tissue. Everything is basically gone. So they'll basically, in weird terms, they're going to carve it out like a pumpkin to make sure they get every last bit of any tissue that cancer could stick to inside of your boob out.
And your last boobs, you actually found the thing, you had 300 cc's?
I have 330 cc's.
So that's kind of crazy. And you think going to 500, like that's a big difference. But you're taking everything out. So it's...
You got to think about all the naturalness you have there,
Yeah.
and then to put that in to make it.
So you'll have that, you sit, and then once you get them to your size and you like them, then you keep them for like 3 months?
I will have them. I have surgery tomorrow on the 26th of April, and I will go back October 15th to have my real implants put in.
So that's where they fill them up, you leave them, and they get used to it, and then you'll have they'll take those out, put the implants in October.
Yes.
Now built into there also is a thing called a mesh bra, basically, that Boukovalas does, which is cool.
They will wrap the spacer in a wire mesh that will eventually attach itself to the inside to protect and make your skin a little bit tougher, or the inside tougher, so your skin's not so thin. And then they'll take the spacer out and put the implant back in under that.
Well, yeah, and going back to the genetic testing, it's the minute you found out that you could get tested, you wanted to get tested.
Got tested because it affects not only me, but it could affect my girls.
And you came back positive, obviously, and that's why we're where we're at right now.
And you'll go to a genetic doctor, they'll give you all of your breakdown. UT's genetic doctor that was assigned to us was fantastic. She immediately went over every single thing and then gave us options of meeting with all of these doctors, set everything up. We went to all the appointments, found out all the information, and then we moved forward from there. But this type of gene also causes ovarian cancer.
So that's been the whole other side of it, is going to that doctor.
When you find out you have this type of gene, you have to do, instead of yearly checkups, you go every 6 months. So you'll go every 6 months to the OBGYN, you'll do all of that, but it's not just a normal checkup. You have to do a blood test, you have to do an ultrasound, and then you have to do the doctor has to do his or her checkup as well. So you have to do that, but once you do, as we found out, the double mastectomy, it reduces your risk of getting ovarian cancer.
Drastically.
And I don't remember the exact percentage of what it would be, so I'm not going to give you what it was because I don't personally remember. But it was a very big margin, I would say.
So the OBGYN route and the hysterectomy route was a whole different ballgame because now you're messing with hormones and you're not there yet, right, as a woman.
And when we met with him and he did the checkup and all of my stuff came back, he said he would not even consider it yet, only because I was doing the double mastectomy. So yes, maybe in a few years from now, I will have to go that route. As of now, I don't have to
But
go
you
that
cross
route.
that bridge when you need to. You don't want to force anything with hormones.
No. And he was very, I'm not going to do this until the timing is right. And he's like, right now it's not the right time to do this.
And I think that's where, the comfort has been why I, appreciated it, because there are a lot of doctors that are just chasing money and just will do a surgery if they can do a surgery. They don't care. These doctors have provided so much information and opinion and expertise about stuff that I feel so comfortable with it all.
And finding out you have the gene, yes, I cried a lot.
You're still crying. I'm talking about it right now.
But once you sit down with all the doctors and find out everything that can be done, I think it's easier.
You're in good hands. Like we said, so her sister had it and had chemo treatments, radiation, she went through the full swing. She still has treatments to this day. She
still has to do treatments until July. She did have to have a full hysterectomy, so she's already had that.
Double mastectomy with her implants put back in.
Yep.
Now she went that route where the implants were put right back in immediately,
yes.
Not the spacer route. So this will be a little bit different to see how this process is, and that's something like we want to talk to her and have her kind of explain her story when she's ready, obviously, which I think she would now.
She would now.
But I haven't really talked about it or mentioned it because that's her thing, right? And when someone's ready to talk about it, they'll talk about it, but it's a good perspective, I think.
Yeah, to hear someone that actually has cancer and had to go through all of it versus a person that carries the gene and is doing it to prevent ever having to go through it. And you could carry this gene, like the doctor said, for your entire life and never have anything happen. Or you will get cancer. So you can gamble it, or you can just take care of it.
Like if I know that I got it and there's a chance, I'm taking care of that right now.
And being 40, there's no point of gambling it and having to go to, have an MRI every 6 months and do your ovaries or the OBGYN every 6 months. You're just, either it's going to be good or it's going to be bad.
Well, and I'll say, it's kind of weird to say it this way, but after watching your sister go through it all, it's almost like an example, and you realize you don't want to go through that.
No.
Right? So you will take the steps. And honestly, that's how anything is nowadays. We live in this world where everything's great and goes along as it should, and the world around us doesn't really matter to us until it impacts you, right? So until it personally affects you, that's when you start to care about things, right? So, having that impact the family and her get, breast cancer so young with the babies and everything, it's like, okay, I need to do whatever I can to make sure I don't get it.
And if she would have never got breast cancer, we would have never known we had the gene.
Which is crazy.
You can do a genetic testing. You would just have to pay. Most insurances do not cover genetic testing. But if someone in your family is tested and has cancer, they will do the genetic testing on you for free, so you can find out and your family members can find out. But I think they said it was like $250 if we wanted to get genetic tested and our insurance wouldn't pay for it.
Which the girls are going to get it. We're going to have the girls want to. I think you should know if you have it. And then it's also another thing, if, they get to the point where they marry, the husband needs to get tested too.
If they were to carry the gene.
If she has it and he has it, then it's even worse. That's a recipe for disaster, they say. So the other side of the family got it. Your dad's brother,
they didn't
uncle,
have it.
They didn't have it, so that side of the family is clear. So it's just kind of
just
our
dad
side.
And me and my sister.
So now we'll check the girls when they're ready. Obviously, you have to be 18 and older, but we'll check them when they're ready to do that, and then go from there. So the big day's tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning we have to be there at 7:45.
You nervous?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
You're nervous.
We'll see tomorrow.
I could tell. So we wanted to just share that with everybody, share that story, because there's going to be other people that are going to have this happen. We found multiple women on Instagram whose story is the same, and we followed them just to see the process they've gone through, and it's helped her make the decision of moving forward and going through with it.
And I think once Teresa found out she had breast cancer, I feel like we met so many people in that short time span that either had breast cancer or someone in their family had breast cancer, and they did the preventative care surgery.
It's I forget the name, what that word is, but it's just that whatever it is, where
You're like, oh, I never see red cars, and then you start to see red cars everywhere, right? Now you're just aware of everyone having breast cancer because it affects you again personally. So tomorrow's a big day. We're gonna document the whole thing, so we'll bring y'all along.
Well,
And
I won't be documenting anything, but Matt will.
well, we're gonna document. I mean, I wish we could go into surgery and like document. Like I'd be right next to Boukovalas and be like filming.
I do want.
I think it's good information for people. I think it's fantastic.
I do want to ask him if he'll keep my old implants so I can see them.
I mean, 17 years old, 16, 17,
17 years old.
Seems probably nasty.
I mean, I just kind of want to see
So, anyways,
what it would be like.
we'll keep y'all posted how this goes. Obviously, this will be posted much after the surgery and everything. So hopefully all is well, and we'll catch up with everybody and keep the process, the recovery process. We'll document all that, and then go from there.
It probably will be pretty boring since I can't move my arms past here.
Yeah, the drains are gonna be fun to watch. So
He's going to be a nurse. Hoag.
that's all right. I got you. Baby.
Let's see how long it lasts.
I got you, baby. All right. See y'all tomorrow.